Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Sarah. I'm your fellow letterer and makeaholic. Today I'm going to show you how you can start doing lettering or calligraphy right away based on what you have at home. I know when you pick up a new hobby, sometimes you don't want to invest a lot of money into it because you're probably just going to quit it like 2 weeks later. And I totally understand that. I do that with pretty much every other hobby I pick up. And then I'm left with all this equipment or like running shoes that I'm never gonna use. So if you want to give this a shot and just want to use supplies that you probably already have, keep watching. So I have 3 different techniques and 3 different tools. The first technique, I have 2 pencils. You're gonna need 2, so just grab any pencils. It could be a mechanical pencil or just a plain sharpened pencil. You'll also need crayola markers. You only need 1, but I have 2 here. So I don't know if you have younger siblings or if you have children, go steal their markers. The last thing you need is a pen. I have just a plain black ink pen, but any pen will do, a ballpoint pen, or you can even reuse one of the pencils for this technique as well. Of course, you're also gonna need some paper. I have some printer paper. And this will do just fine, especially with the tools that you have. There's not going to be a lot of bleed. Crayola markers are pretty good that way, so you could pretty much use whatever paper you have around. You could even use a receipt from your wallet.
Okay, so the first technique we're going to go over is doing a brush lettering technique with a Crayola marker. This is going to get you a look similar to the Tombow markers as well as the Copic markers, where you have some thin strokes when you go up and then thicker strokes when you press down. It's a little more difficult with the Crayola marker because it has a little bit of a different angle than your Tombow pen. You kind of have to lay it flat down on the side, and I'll show you that in a close-up shortly. Also, when you are going up, you have to kind of move it more onto the tip and make sure that you're applying a lot less pressure. So you can kind of see here, it's easier to grab it with your fingers like that, and then I just lay the side down flat for the downstrokes, and then I tilt it a little bit up so I have just the tip going on the paper when I move the pen up. And here's a view from the side. You can kind of see how the marker lays flat on the side on the downstroke, and then how I move it a little bit off the paper on the upstroke. If you enjoy this style of lettering, I have some videos on beginner tutorials for brush lettering and also some practice sheets on my Etsy shop so you can practice these letters in the brush lettering style. Okay, so the next technique I'm going to go over is faux calligraphy. This is faux because it's emulating a traditional calligraphy style using a nib pen. It's not as hard to pick up because it's using a lot of the same movements that you would use when you're writing, but that doesn't mean it's easy, and it is time consuming. So you want to make sure you write your letter out like normal first, and then on what would be the downstrokes, you want to double up those lines. I find if I just go along with the starting point, just go over the line and then move down on the downstroke, it feels a little bit more natural. So I reline the upstroke lines and then just move my pencil out a little bit to get the wider downstroke lines. And then you can just fill that in with your pencil or your pen so that it kind of has that look of a thick downstroke. And when you fill it all in, you can kind of see if any of them are thicker than the others. Like for instance, this C seemed like the downstroke was a little bit thinner than the A and the B, so I went in and just thickened that up at the bottom. So I'm going to show you, in case you don't know what it should look like. This is me using the traditional nib and ink pen, pointed pen, just writing out the word summer, just so you can get an idea of where the thick and thin strokes show up naturally when you use this style of pen. I suggest creating some lines because it helps a lot. And yep, that just happened. So I'm just using an archival ink pen to do this because my other pen was bleeding a little bit on this paper. So I just write out the word in what is called a monoline script, and then after I've done that, I'll go in and thicken up those downstrokes. So it did take me like 2 or 3 times longer to do this faux calligraphy technique because I have to go in and thicken up the lines manually at the end, which is tedious and time consuming. So this last technique I'm showing you is more of like a Gothic fraktur traditional calligraphy style that you could normally achieve with something like a parallel pen that has a broad flat nib. And I'm going to do this by attaching 2 pencils together and make sure that the tips are at exactly the same height and they're both touching the paper at the same time. And then just tape them together with whatever tape. I'm using hockey tape. And this should then have both pens at the same point, creating that fake wide nib look. And then you can just kind of draw at an angle like you would with a parallel pen to create those styles of strokes. The most important thing you want to remember is to apply equal pressure on both pencils and make sure they're both sitting flat. Otherwise, you'll wear out one quicker than the other, and then it will make it harder to get that faux broad nib stroke. If you like this style of calligraphy, you should check out my video where I make my own pop can pen. It's a kind of similar style, but a little bit more rough and edgy. It's one of my favorites, so I'll leave the link above. Or you can buy them in my Etsy shop. I have them in that cute pencil case that I pictured in my iPhone.
So I hope that was helpful. I hope that allows you to get your feet wet and see if you like lettering or calligraphy. And if you do, I have some videos for different styles like brush lettering, and then I also give you some tips and what tools I like to use so you can graduate from pencils and crayola markers into maybe a little bit more advanced tools like brush pens and dip and ink pens. So give those a try if you're interested, and if you create anything, make sure to tag me because I'd love to see it. You can catch me on Instagram at SarahTypes. If you like this video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe. I hope to see you soon, and feel free to leave a comment down below if you have any questions or if you have suggestions for videos you'd love to see in the